All right, we're live.
Hi, my name is Jesse, and I'm a Lightning developer working for Breez. And I'm going to tell you today about the Breez SDK. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a demo on the Breez SDK. First, I'm going to give you an introduction on what the Breez SDK is. And then I'm going to do a little demo to show you how easy it is to integrate Lightning payments into your applications using the Breez SDK. First up, before we talk about the Breez SDK, we are going to talk about Breez. What is the mission of Breez? Well, by creating interfaces to the Lightning economy, Breez is realizing the future of Bitcoin and opening up the world of peer-to-peer payments to people and apps. What does that mean? That means, well, we've got the Lightning network today, and it works, right? It's the #1 layer 2 solution on Bitcoin. And what Breez does is it creates interfaces on top of that Lightning network to make sure that Lightning is actually used. And if Lightning is used, that means Bitcoin is used. And that means we can create circular economies with Bitcoin, which is where we want to end up in the end. Breez started off with Breez Mobile. You may know Breez from Breez Mobile. Breez Mobile is a mobile app on your phone, and it contains a non-custodial Lightning node inside your mobile phone. So Breez Mobile runs LND, which is a Lightning implementation, inside your mobile phone, making it fully non-custodial, meaning nobody is able to spend your funds without having your keys, right? So your keys are in your device. And there's some features in this Breez app, like streaming sats to podcasters, so you can listen to podcasts and you can stream sats to podcasters. There's a point of sale user interface, which is a great feature because you can just install the Breez app and you have a point of sale available. And the main takeaway of the Breez app is its ease of use. When Breez launched, it was really one of the first applications where you could install an app on your phone, and without having to be a Lightning expert, or actually without having to know anything about how Lightning works, you're able to install the app and just receive a payment, send a payment. So the ability to use Lightning without having to be a Lightning expert. And the way this works is with a Lightning service provider. This concept was invented by Breez, and what a Lightning service provider does, it connects you to the Lightning network the way that an internet service provider provides you to the internet. But we want more than just an app that integrates Lightning payments. We want Lightning to be used everywhere. And that means that every app has to integrate Lightning payments, basically. So apps for, doing your groceries, watching a movie, charging your car, apps for, for Noster, Zaps, and all these things. And in order to do that, if we get there, right, that would mean that we have a fully circular peer-to-peer economy of Bitcoin, and that's when Bitcoin really becomes unstoppable, in my opinion. But how do we get there? We need developers to integrate Lightning payments into their own applications. And how do we get developers to integrate Lightning payments into their applications? Well, developers, right? If things get too hard, they might choose another solution. Some people are very passionate about Bitcoin and Lightning, and they will definitely implement Lightning payments into their applications. But if someone is passionate about podcasts or passionate about groceries, or, people who make these apps that you really want to use in your day-to-day life, they are not going to be passionate about Lightning. So they will only integrate Lightning payments if it's really, really, really easy to do so. In comes the Breez SDK. This is what we provide with Breez. we provide a software development kit that makes it extremely easy to add Lightning payments into your own applications. So whether you have an existing application or you have a new application that you're trying to build, if you want to integrate Lightning payments into your apps, it becomes really, really easy to integrate the Breez SDK. And where the Breez app made using Lightning very easy, the Breez SDK basically makes developing apps that integrate Lightning payments very easy. And I'll show you exactly like what Breez SDK does, why it's so easy, and I'll give a demo explaining like why it's exactly so easy. The SDK is fully end-to-end. So anything you need in order to create an application with Lightning is in there. So built-in liquidity, built-in on-chain operability, fiat on-ramps, general Lightning payments, a bunch of stuff that I'll show later as well. And the model is that multiple apps interact with the same user node. I will explain more about that later, but that means that the user gets one balance across multiple apps, which is nice as well. No KYC, important for Bitcoin, of course, and it's really, really easy to implement. And that makes it trustless, because your keys are in your device. That basically means that nobody ever can take possession of your funds. And well, because it's Bitcoin and it's Lightning, that means it's global, and you can pay anybody around the world. So let's get into the features a little bit. So we've got support for multiple apps. So if you have an app, say Relay, and you have an app Satimoto, so Relay to buy Bitcoin, for example, and Satimoto to charge your car, they will both have the same balance. That means you can use it on multiple devices as well. There's a watchtower integrated, so you won't be able to lose your funds if like anyone is trying to cheat you on the Lightning Network. Liquidity services, which I'll definitely explain more later, built-in Lightning service provider. On-chain swaps. Yeah, the keys are in your own device, so they never leave your device, which makes it fully non-custodial. And one of the best features probably is that it's fully open source. You're free to change it wherever you want. So you can find all the source codes on GitHub, and I will share links by the end of this session, probably on Twitter. Yeah, and LNURL functionality. And a big one that we launched recently is fiat on and off ramps, or we had a fiat on and off ramp before, but now we also have fiat link, which is a protocol that that multiple fiat on and off ramps can implement, so you can seamlessly use a fiat on and off ramp inside your Lightning application. So how does this work? There's a few components to the SDK. It's basically an infrastructure, because each end user, so the user that installs the app on his phone, gets a Lightning node in Greenlight, which is an infrastructure provider, basically. It runs Lightning nodes inside the cloud. But so these Lightning nodes, every user gets their own Lightning node in the cloud on Greenlight, but the keys do not live on the device on the cloud. They live on the device of the user on the phone itself. Then another big component is these liquidity services. Another big component is the on-chain interoperability and the fiat on and off ramp. So you see that these four components, the Lightning node, liquidity, interoperability with on-chain, and interoperability with fiat, they give you the really rich experience for paying with Bitcoin and Lightning. So this is a picture of how the architecture of a user using an app that's built on the Breez SDK works. So over here we've got your app. So you are going to create an app with the Breez SDK, and there will be multiple apps here, like multiple people will write different apps. And a big important component here is that the keys are on the side of the app and not anywhere over here. These apps will implement the Breez SDK, and the Breez SDK will communicate with a node that is on a Greenlight infrastructure in the cloud. So multiple apps will communicate with the same user node, giving them basically the same backend. Because a problem that you may have with running a Lightning node inside the phone itself is that it's hard for apps on a phone to communicate with each other. So if you have one app that wants to send a Lightning payment and the other app that needs to handle the Lightning payment, it's hard for these apps to communicate together. Definitely if you want to embed Lightning payments natively into your application. So it's easier when you have a backend. So this is where the node takes a position. And your node will be connected to the Lightning network through Lightning service providers. So they're sort of your gateway into the broader Lightning network. Yeah, so I probably already explained this part. Yeah, so I'm just going to skip to the next one. Let me tell you about how a Lightning service provider works. So it gives you liquidity out of the box. So you may know from the Breez app that you install the app and you're instantly able to receive a payment. And this works the same way with the Breez SDK. Like the Breez app wasn't built with the Breez SDK. We're going to release another version of the Breez app soon that does integrate the Breez SDK. But the model is the same. So how does that work? You install your app. You're not connected to the Lightning network yet, but you can receive a payment because at the moment that you do receive a payment, Lightning service provider will open a just-in-time channel to your node. And this is how you get your initial inbound liquidity. So I just want to point out that in order to use the Breez SDK, you don't have to be a Lightning expert. In fact, you don't really have to know much about Lightning in order to develop an application that uses the Breez SDK. But this talk may sometimes be a little bit technical or may contain some information that you really don't really need to know in order to build stuff with the Breez SDK. But I will explain it anyway because this is what we do, right? So I do want to explain what we do. So it opens a Lightning channel to your node, which gives you inbound liquidity in order to be able to receive your payment. And these LSPs, we're working on an open LSP architecture, which means there's an LSP spec. So down below over here, you can see the GitHub link. So on github.com/Bitcoin and Lightning layer specs/LSP. We're forming a spec that contains a protocol or multiple protocols actually on how Lightning service providers provide liquidity to their users. So that means that multiple implementations of Lightning service providers will become interoperable. And with Breez, you already see that there's, next to the Breez Lightning service provider, you already see that there's multiple Lightning service providers serving nodes that use the Breez SDK already. So, I probably will during the demo as well explain a little bit more on these protocols. So let me just continue. Yeah, but it's an important part, right? That these Lightning service providers are interoperable, and you can basically pick and choose a Lightning service provider. Here you see the components that are in the Breez SDK, like on a more technical level. So first of all, one important thing is the signer. So as you saw, like the user's node is inside the cloud. But in order to be able to receive and send Lightning payments, well, you have to sign messages, right? You have to sign Lightning messages, basically. And the signer lives inside the Breez SDK, so it runs inside the user device. And next to that, we have the input parser. So any string like a Lightning invoice or an on-chain address or LN URL links, stuff like that, they can be parsed by the input parser, and it will tell you what it is and how to use it. Then we have the Lightning node. So there's some APIs in order to be able to talk to the Lightning node. There's swaps. So some components that help you do swaps. So doing submarine swaps and reverse submarine swaps. So sending from Lightning to on-chain and from on-chain to Lightning. The Breez SDK is all Lightning native. So all your balance will be on Lightning, but it does allow you to interoperate with the chain. Then there's some components to work with Lightning service providers, like picking a Lightning service provider, checking the fees of a Lightning service provider, for example. Fiat currency APIs, and in order to interact with buying Bitcoin. And a big feature that we recently shipped, and that I'll demo as well, is notifications. So a problem with this signer over here is that if the signer is not running, like if it's not active, if it's not getting any CPU time, you cannot receive a Lightning payment, for example. So your app has to be active in order to receive a payment. And a way that you can wake up an app, even if your phone is in your pocket, is with a push notification. So we're shipping now some components that help you create these notifications inside your apps, so you can receive a payment even when your phone is in your pocket and your app would normally not get any CPU time. These are the languages we currently support: Swift, Kotlin, Rust, Python, Go, React Native, Flutter, and C#. And I will be doing a Flutter demo for you today, but I basically could have picked any of these languages. If you have other languages that you think, if you want to write your application in another language that we don't support yet, I'll just make an issue, and then we'll probably add your language for you. So that was introduction. So if there is any questions, there's probably a good idea to post them in the chat, and probably during the demo, I will also have some time while compiling, and then I'll have some time to answer questions. But for now, let's get into the demo and show you how easy it is to integrate payments using the Breez SDK. So what I have over here is this one, I think. Let me check if that's the right one. Yeah. So what I have over here is like a skeleton of a Flutter app, and there's nothing in here yet that has anything to do with Lightning payments. Just a little screen that shows that we have a -1 set balance. You can receive, and then it probably does nothing. And send, and it's going to you're going to have to paste an invoice over here, and then we're going to send. But right now, there's no Lightning payments in here yet. And what I'll do is I will add Lightning payments capabilities into this application. So without further ado, let's do it. So I'm going to add a dependency to the Breez SDK inside this Flutter app. So for different languages, there's different ways of adding a dependency to the SDK. The current latest version is 0.3.1, and this is the way to add it for Flutter as a Git reference. And you just get that dependency, and it will give us all the functionality that we need in order to add the SDK into our app. So let me go over here to main.dart and let me get up and running. So what I'm going to add here, I'm probably just going to have to stop my app right now, is I'm going to connect to the SDK. So we're creating a user-facing app, right? So this user needs to get his own Lightning node. Because if you remember, you get your own Lightning node on the Greenlight infrastructure. So we're going to set up this user with its own node. So in the main function, I added a function, start SDK. And I'm going to walk you through what this does. So first of all, we're going to generate a mnemonic. So if the user already has a mnemonic, then we read it from secure storage. But the first time the user will run the app, there will be a mnemonic, and we're going to generate one. And we're going to write it to secure storage. So now the user has his own seed that is random and nobody knows, and it's only exists on the user's device. Then we're going to create a little bit of configuration. What you'll need is an API key to be able to use the Breez LSP. And what you'll need is, if you're testing, you need an invite code in order to be able to get a Greenlight node. If you go to production, you'll get a certificate, and there's a lot of documentation on there. So it makes it easier to give a node for each of your users. Then we're going to, specifically for Flutter, initialize the SDK, which initializes some streams and stuff like logging from the SDK. And then we're going to just print anything that comes from the SDK to our console over here. And this is the magic function we call SDK.connect. So everywhere where you see SDK dot, by the way, this is where we interact with the Breez SDK, and everything else is just UI or other stuff. So connect, what it does is we'll create your user node. If you already had one, then connect will connect to your existing user node. And you're passing your seed over here, which will never leave your device. So this is all you need in order to set up the user with a node. Yeah, so I can, oh no, I'm not going to run this. Give me a second. First, if you remember, you just saw that the balance was -1 set. So I'm first going to set up our balance over here, because it's nice to be able to see that the user's node is initialized. So the balance I just set over here statically to -1, just in order to show you that something is happening when we are going to add this piece of code. So we add SDK exposes a stream whenever the state of the node changes. And from that, we're just going to listen to that. And whenever the state changes, we're going to update our balance over here, which is going to update it in the UI as well to whatever amount that we own. This is in millisatoshis, so we divide it by 1,000 in order to display satoshis. So if everything goes well right now, so if I just press launch, then what you'll see is our balance is going to go from -1 to 0 when we have actually successfully initialized a brand new node on Greenlight. So you see some logs here that we're connecting to Greenlight, and some stuff, some logs for the signer, and you actually see that we have 0 set now, which means that we initialized a brand new node in the cloud on Greenlight, which has an empty balance because it's not connected to the Lightning Network yet. So I would say that was easy, right? That was just a couple of minutes, and you can add a user node into your application. So let's receive our first payment. So we're going to the receive dialog over here, and whenever we go to the receive dialog, what I want to do is show a new invoice from this user. So I'm going to show you what it's like. Yeah, let me go down over here first. So the way to receive a payment with the Breez SDK is to call the function receive payment. And it takes a receive payment request with an amount and a description. And the amount looks like a lot over here, but it's actually 10,000 Satoshis. So maybe just so this is in millisatoshis, so this is now 20,000 Satoshis with a description. And then when we've created that, we're just going to update our UI. So you'll see that most of the code that I'm actually adding will be a code for the UI and not necessarily to do complicated Lightning Network stuff. And then if it's errors, we just print something down over here. And I'll probably have to restart the app now. I'm mostly a backend developer, not really an app developer, so I just do what I think makes the most sense. So we're connecting to our node again, and this time it's quicker because our node was already initialized. And if we click receive now, then you'll see that we actually are able to create an invoice now. And so I'm able to scan this invoice and pay it. And yeah, so while it's being paid, let me just show you why we know that we actually got paid. Because there you go, we got paid. Over here, we're listening to the invoice paid stream. So whenever an invoice is paid, we will get an event over here. And we're just saying, like, if this is the invoice that was actually assigned to this window, then we just go back to the main screen. And so our balance updated. So a lot of stuff happened just now. It seems really easy, but like a lot of stuff happened under the hood. So the first thing you may notice is we created an invoice for 20,000 sats, and we received 17,500. That is because there's some setup costs involved, because right now the Lightning service provider opened a channel to our user, which is me. So maybe I can just show you the yeah, so I made a little image over here, like how this works. So this is Alice. That was me with my phone. And this is Carol, which is our SDK node. And Alice is going to pay Carol. And the LSP, which is this guy over here, is in between. So Alice is going to route her payments over the LSP. But Carol is not connected to the Lightning Network yet. So what Bob, our LSP, sees is, I need to open a channel to Carol in order to provide her payment. So he does. So he creates a channel which is a zeroconf channel or a JIT channel, and then he's able to forward the payment to Carol. So there's a lot of components there that have to work in order to make this work. But this opening of the channel, it's an on-chain transaction, which means it takes a fee, and the fee for the LSP is taken out of your cut. So the sender actually paid 20,000 sats, and you receive 17,500 because you had to get set up with the channel. So this is just the first time you receive a payment, and after that you will have some inbound liquidity, and you will be able to receive payments without that setup fee. Okay, that was for receiving. So now let's add a little field for sending a payment. If there's so I don't see any questions in the chat yet, but feel free to add questions in the chat if you feel confused, or if I'm going too fast, or so I know what's going on. Okay, so let's integrate sending a payment from our application. So yeah, you see this send button over here. We have to paste an invoice, and then when we click OK, right now nothing really happens. It's just going to show a loading spinner. But what we want is to actually send the payment to that invoice. So I'm going to add a thanks Satoshi Edits for saying I'm doing well. So I'm just going to add some code for sending a payment. So we call SDK send payment, and we're just going to add a bolt 11 invoice. So whatever is in the text box, we're just going to send the payment to. And then when the payment is done, we're just going to pop back to the main screen. And if there's an error, just paste it down below. You see in the background, our app is running. So our signer is still doing a lot of stuff. It's connecting to the node, making sure there's syncing to the chain. It's doing a lot of stuff like anything a Lightning node does. Anything needs signatures. It's connecting to peers. It's downloading the graph. All these things. So so this is all the code you need in order to send a payment. And as you see, that looks super easy. So I wonder whether I can just do this like this. So let me bring in another Lightning node over here. So this is another Lightning node I have. This is a CLI. So we've got a CLI version of the SDK as well. So you can actually try to do some stuff. So let me create like a 50 sat invoice for PlebLab. And let me see. Well, you see a nice pretty printed QR over there. But what we're interested in is this bolt 11. So we now created an invoice from another node, and we're going to send to that node. So now it's sending a payment. It looks like it's actually doing something. Down here, it looks like it's actually working in order to send this payment. Yeah, and as you can see, 50 sats were deducted from our balance. So we're able to send the payment now with just, if I can say it, yeah, basically one line of code, right? And all of the rest is UI. So that's very powerful. You can focus on your app that you're building, and you don't really have to worry about how you have to implement all this. So we did sending a payment, receiving a payment. We're updating our balance, and it could be nice to add a list of. Oh yeah, I've already got the payment widget over there. So it could be nice to add a list of whatever you sent and received into your app. So let me check what I need to do over here. Yeah, so there's basically some dummy code over here. So let me change that with some actual UI. And let me. So this wasn't so easy to just do in a one-liner, but it's still going to work. So, okay. So what we're going to do is on our list, listing of the payments, we're going to also listen to the node state stream. So just like we did with our balance. But whenever this state changes, we're going to list the payments and show our list of payments over here. So we're going to update this field, the payments field, every time the node state changes. There's probably more efficient ways to do this, but this works for demos. And then we've got a little list view over here. And from every item in this payments list, it's just going to show a little tile with the payment amount and the fee that you paid, and a little icon. And that's what it's going to do. So let me save that. And I guess I do need a restart for this. So I will. And then I can answer Sebastian's question. So Sebastian asks, has Breez an SDK for web apps or any plans for building it? So, oh yeah, so as you see, by the way, there's we now have a list of all the payments so we received our first payment here, and the fee was 2,500 sats. So that's the fee for the LSP. And then we sent the payment, which was actually free, or at least less than a sat fee. So does the Breez SDK have, is there an SDK for web apps? We are working very hard on doing this on web apps as well. And the thing is, with web apps, we need WASM support, so WebAssembly, and yeah, so we're working very hard. Someone in our team is working very hard to make sure that we have WASMs. So we're working on it, but it's not there yet. But some point this year, probably we'll have WASM support. So right now, everything works with native code, basically. And there's a question from Eric Alvarez, and he asks, is there a way we can query the channel open fee and display it to the user when they generate their first receive invoice? Yes, there's a way to query the fee. So there's, let me just go, what's a good place? Receive dialog, probably, right? So there's a function, open channel fee, which gives you information about yeah, basically the fee that you would expect for opening a channel. And to the open channel fee call, you can also add in your open channel fee request, you can either add an amount or not. So, and the thing is, you only need to open a channel if you if your amount will exceed your inbound liquidity. So we'll know that. So when the amount exceeds your inbound liquidity, we'll actually return like your open channel fee will be this amount. And if your amount is within your inbound liquidity, so you're able to receive it without opening a new channel, then we'll actually return you 0. So this open channel fee call is all you need in order to. And there's also I will show you the documentation. So yeah, let me just do it now. So we've got this documentation site, sdkdoc.breez.technology, and we've also got some. Let me see whether I can find that now, or maybe we're working on that. I think we're working on that, but we'll give you some advice on what to show a user, because the UI for you have to show the user that you're that he has to pay a fee. And the UI for this is pretty specific, right? You have to tell the user some specific things, like for this payment, if you want to receive more than this amount, then you have to pay a fee, and otherwise not. So we give some recommendations on what to show the user exactly and how. So yeah. I hope that answered your question. Okay. Yeah, and sample UI. So yeah, I think it's coming up, or at least some text. And I thought it was in docs already, but maybe it's in a pull request right now. Yeah, we're definitely giving recommendations on what kind of text to show a user. And a sample UI is actually a great suggestion. Okay, so these are basically the basics of what you can do with the Breez SDK. And I do want to show some more stuff that we've been working on. And for that, I'm going to show you, maybe I can just do this for a second. Yeah, so this is maybe a familiar interface for some of you. It looks like the Breez app, right? But it's not really the Breez app because it doesn't have the point of sale or the podcasting feature. What this is Breez Cloud, and we'll be releasing that soon. But Breez Cloud is a rebuild of Breez on top of the Breez SDK. So instead of LND node inside your phone, this is built on top of the Breez SDK. And this comes with some pretty cool features, which I would like to show. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to create an invoice over here, and I'm just going to do like 22 sats. So 22 sats, create an invoice. And one feature that I told you about was notifications. And the thing is, with the Breez app, if you would close the app, you would not be able to receive a payment. And even with the Breez SDK, right? If the app is closed, you won't be able to receive a payment, because with the Breez SDK, you need the signer running in order to be able to receive the payment. But I'm going to show you now, and I hope this works on my emulator now too. But what I'm going to show you now is that I close the app, and then now I send the payment. And I don't know if you can hear sounds from my. So if you can hear sounds, then you hear it. But we got a notification now. Payment received 22 sats. And this is a feature that we just released, and we are very, very proud of. Because the way this works is by waking up the phone in the background through push notification. And so this is available now for anyone that's building on top of the Breez SDK. And let me just get my little presentation over here, because I had another pretty slide. Okay, so I'm going to show you how this worked. how did we receive a payment when the app was not in the foreground and the signer was not running, right? The moment I sent the payment. The thing with Lightning is the sender and the receiver have to be online at the same time in order to receive a payment. So Alice wants to pay Carol again. And Bob actually has a channel with Carol now. It's not required, by the way. You can also do this if you don't have a channel yet. But that channel is offline because Carol is offline and the signer is not running. So Carol won't be able to receive a payment. So Alice pays, and the payment is going to route over the LSP. And then the LSP thinks, Carol is offline. What now? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a webhook notification to the app provider of the app that Carol uses. And this webhook is going to go to the app provider, which is Legolas over here. And the app provider, which is runs a notification delivery service. And this notification delivery service is going to send a push notification to Carol's phone, waking up the app for a short period of time, just enough time to receive a payment, basically. So then Carol is no longer offline, and the LSP is able to forward the payment to Carol. Super powerful feature. And actually, what you can do with this is you can even do LNURL. So let me show you that. So I've got my other, oh wait, this might actually be the same node. No, it's not. I don't think so. No. So, oh yeah, I've already did it once. But so LNURL pay. So we're actually going to LNURL pay my app when the app is offline, right? So my phone is in my pocket. I don't know that someone is trying to pay me, but I'm going to LNURL pay to. Oh no, I did this before. Oh yeah, let me use another. Yeah, okay. So there's a little bug over here, but if I use another provider, that should work. Because it is brand new, right? So there's bugs in this still. But if I use another app to send the payment, then we'll actually be able to do so let me just put over here. Oh yeah, you saw that you heard it clean, so it actually requested an invoice right now, and I'm going to pay what I'm going to pay. I'm going to pay 123 sats to my LNURL. So let me send that. And cling, we got another notification. And we've got a few actually. Fetching invoice, retrieving payment information. Breez is running in the background. But what you see is a moment ago, we received 123 sats over LNURL when our phone was, when our app was not running. So we're very excited about this feature. And yeah, we're working right now on making it as easy as possible to integrate into your own apps. So doing this with the Breez SDK would simply become installing an extension when building your app. And you don't really have to think too much about all the infrastructure. You do have to host the notification delivery service yourself because you are the only one that's able to communicate to the user's apps. But other than that, everything will come from the SDK out of the box. Yeah. So let me see. if I have some more to show, I think I do still have time. So I could either show some questions of yours, answer some questions, or what I could do is a little pet project I did is maybe nice to show. I think it's nice to show a little pet project I did. Let me just see if I can.
We've got some people with questions over here.
Okay. If I'm not hearing anything.
Hey, Jesse, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you for being so patient with this. We're figuring it out. So yeah, we have a person in the audience. He had a question. Go for it. Thanks.
I had several questions. So one, these are all regarding the Kotlin example code as opposed to the Flutter that you were kind of demonstrating with. So question one was, in order to get the invite code an API key, I emailed that address in the repo.
Yep.
What's the time frame that I guess I should look for a response from those guys? I think it was like contact@breez.com or something like that.
Yeah, .technology, but it should be very short. We are usually very fast at answering. So does it mean that you didn't get a response, or just yeah? It's usually like within at least a couple of days.
Yeah, I emailed them on Wednesday or Thursday, and hadn't heard from them yet.
Okay. So yeah, if you can go into the Breez SDK Telegram, or you just send another email, then we'll definitely follow up with you.
Got you. Second question is, so I couldn't quite see all the code that on the screen earlier, but I think in the Kotlin version, in Flutter, earlier it looked like the code was built in. So the three requirements in order to get the code stood up, at least in the Kotlin version, was the 12-word phrase, invite code, and the API key. And so on the Kotlin code, I believe it didn't seem to have one of the to-dos basically was to get the 12-word phrase. It looked like in the Flutter version that that 12-word code was generated in the app itself, but it didn't seem to be the case in the Kotlin example. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's. We actually don't provide a way for you to generate a seed in the code itself. So let me see if I can bring back up my oh yeah, so this is my Flutter workshop. So if I go into this code over here where we create the seed, can you see my code now, by the way, or still not?
It's a little small, but I can.
Okay. I increase the size of it. So see over here, you do bib39.generate mnemonic, and bib39 is actually a different library than the SDK, and we convert that to a seed. And the seed is what the SDK takes as a configuration. So we don't really provide a way for you to generate a seed for you, because everybody's got different ways of generating seeds. So you can use standard bib39 libraries, and there's a bunch of libraries, I guess, for Kotlin as well. I'm not too familiar with the Kotlin space myself, but
Excellent. Fine. So I can use bib39 to generate them client side. So, all right, thanks. That's actually all of my questions.
cool.
Hey, Jesse, is it okay if I intro him to you via email if he has any more questions? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I can do that.
And also,
Yeah,
Telegram. Yep.
Telegram too. Yeah.
I'm on there, so I'm good. I'll
Okay. You later. He said he'll just use Telegram. So we have a lot of questions from the streams. So via Zapstream, Got Kieran. He's asking multi-device support, question mark, how, question mark.
Okay, good question. Multi-device support. So let me get my image over here back. So yeah, so the user runs a Lightning node in the cloud, right? Which becomes like a backend that multiple apps can talk to. But if, oh yeah, this is a good picture actually. So if multiple apps integrate the Breez SDK, which there are apps already integrating the Breez SDK, right? So you've got, for example, let's take 3 apps. We've got Breez Cloud, which now implements the Breez SDK. We've got Satimoto, which is an app to charge your car. And we've got, for example, Relay. And all these 3 apps implement the Breez SDK, but as long as the user uses the same seed, they will connect to the same user node, which means that these 3 apps will all share the same node, so they share the same balance. And it doesn't really matter like which of these apps is handling the payments. So so multiple apps can do this. So this is how you can do multi-app with the Breez SDK. So basically multiple if multiple apps integrate the Breez SDK and the user use the same seed in order to use these apps, then they will use the same user node in the backend. That's how it works. If that's unclear, please ask a follow-up question.
Thanks for that one. And then, so we got some more questions. Is there a way we can query the channel open fee and display it to the user when they generate their first receive invoice? This is from Eric on YouTube.
Yeah, so I actually answered that already. So if you skip back in the stream, then you can hear that, the answer to this question. I actually went over this question from Eric before. So it was the open channel fee call, and I did that in the code a little bit.
Okay, thank you. And then he has another one. Would you recommend implementing the offline payments in production, or is it still too soon? Question mark.
Yeah, I would recommend it. Yeah, definitely, because it increases it improves the user experience regardless. So either you're unable to receive the payment when the phone is in your pocket, or you're able to receive payments when your phone is in the pocket. Like it's very early, so then maybe you'd say sometimes it doesn't work, but most of the times it would work, and it's definitely an improvement of the user experience. So I would go for it.
Cool. We got one more question from the audience.
Yeah, so wondering what you guys did that's different from kind of what current Lightning wallet providers are doing to get the push notifications, the offline receives working, compared to what Breez Wallet is doing today, compared to what Phoenix is doing. How is the Breez SDK able to use the notification service like this?
I think it's probably very similar to what Phoenix is doing. Breez app itself does not, like the Breez app that runs LND inside your phone, doesn't include a notification feature, and that's because in the Breez app, LND is pretty slow to start up fully. So in order to do that timely in the Breez app, that was an issue. But with the Breez SDK, it's possible. And yeah, so I think it's very similar to what Phoenix is doing, basically.
We got another question from the audience.
Sorry about that. I just got to briefly look at your push notification code the other day, but often there's the need for, to have a push notification key and, some other setup. But when we integrate that code from your guys' code base over there, that includes everything that we need to integrate that push notification functionality. Is that correct?
Yes, that together with, let me bring it up for you. The notification delivery service. Where is it? So github.com/breeze/notify gives you an example of a notification delivery service. So this is where the keys, this is where your keys for the push notifications will live inside this notification delivery service. And if I just bring back this little piece over here, then if you remember, Carol was offline. So Carol in her phone app will have this phone extension which will run code in order when you receive a push notification to start up the signer. But the LSP, when there's a payment about to be sent to Carol and Carol is offline, sends a webhook notification to this notification delivery service. So you'll have to run this notification delivery service on your own infrastructure, on your own domain and stuff. And and then you send a push notification using your push notification key to Carol's device.
That's all the questions, Jesse. Gosh, thank you so much for doing this, and I really appreciate it. I think this might have been the most live streamed one that we've done as far as like the audience and participation. I think this is one that a lot of people are interested in. I think just for me, I have a question just for you. Like, what's it like working at Breez? What's it like working with a legend like Roy and that whole team? And what do you do on your days off when you're not coding?
Right. So first of all, they're all great people. So we've got a great team. So it's pretty small. I think we're with 11 people right now. Working with Roy is great because Roy is really a visionary and he can see so far ahead and also in terms of what people are going to use in the future, what people need, what people want. So it's great to work with Roy on that. And working for Breez, I think it's absolutely great because we get to build all these things that don't really exist yet. So I work mostly on the Lightning Service Provider stuff. So just get to build a bunch of stuff that doesn't exist yet, and working in these LSP spec group discussions. So every day you get a new challenge, which maybe, probably, or most likely, nobody else solved yet, and that's a great feeling. And everybody in the team is, they're super smart guys and great to work with. And what do I do when I'm not? So I am like a real Bitcoiner, so I do spend most of my time like reading about Bitcoin. And I just finished like the Genesis book from Aaron von Weerden, which is, by the way, a must read because it's a great book. I've got children, so there's a lot of time in that too.
Awesome, thank you so much. Yeah, I've heard a lot about that book. I need to go read that. Thank you so much, Jesse, and have a great rest of your day. And if you have anything else you want to present or say, feel free to right now.
So I could do a tiny little thing with L402 and Breez SDK. A little demo. What do you think? Let me just do that for a second. If I can find it. So over here it is. So I've got Matador running. Okay, so this Breez SDK 3-hour workshop final. Okay, so there we go. I've got, I made a little pet project. I've got 2 pinned repositories on my GitHub, and one of them is the Breez SDK 3-hour workshop, which you can do by yourself. It's got exercises, and you can go through them. And this is in Rust. It's got exercises to get to learn the Breez SDK. And I thought this one was really nice, just to show. Just it's a random thing that you can do with the Breez SDK. But what this does is I'm running a wrapper around ChatGPT. I'm just running that on my, let me just get this out of the way. I'm running that locally on my computer right now, a wrapper around ChatGPT, and it hosts an L402 API. And an L402 API, what that is like it uses the status code 402, which is payment required. So if you try to access a web page, which you need to pay, then it returns a 402 status code, which means you have to pay something. And so this wraps ChatGPT, so I can use ChatGPT now using this L402 API. I can go through this code a little bit, but basically what it does is it does an HTTP request, and if the status is 402, it's going to look at this www authenticate header and extract a token and a macaroon from that header. And then it's going to get an invoice from that header, and then we're just going to send a payment to pay that invoice. And if it's paid, then we get a pre-image, and with this pre-image we can actually do the request again with the pre-image in another header. And I will just run this code. Yeah, so I just asked it tell me the secret of giving a good workshop in 3 steps. So maybe this is a nice call, or maybe I can just ask it another prompts like why is PlebLab so cool? So we can run that, and what it's going to do, it's going to use the SDK. So there's going to be a bunch of stuff set over here. Yeah, so first you see it's calling the 402 API without a token, and then the response status is 402 payment required. We've got a header, and we're extracting the invoice from the header, and we're paying the Lightning invoice to get access to the API. And the next time we're calling it again, probably somewhere. Oh yeah, so this is some SDK logs. And then, yeah, probably somewhere over here. Yeah, somewhere we're calling it again with, calling the HTTP 402 API again with an authorization header with a pre-image. And now we get response status 200 OK. And it says, why is PlebLab so cool? Well, because it's considered cool for several reasons. Some of these reasons include its innovative product offerings, trendy brand image, engaging marketing campaigns, and strong presence in popular culture. Additionally, PlebLab may be seen as cool due to its appeal to a specific demographic, or its reputation being ahead of the curve in trends, in terms of trends and technology. Ultimately, what makes PlebLab cool is subjective and may vary depending on individual preferences and perceptions. But anyway, PlebLab is cool, right? Just a thing that you can do with Breez SDK. You can integrate the SDK in so many things, but this is like a client-side user-facing app that consumes an L402 API, and I think it's cool. Like the possibilities with the SDK are endless. So yeah, let me just get my my screen back in and show you this nice page for how to contact us, because that's all I've got.
Thank you, Jesse. That was amazing. That was an amazing answer that he gave you. Can we get a round of applause for Jesse, everybody?